All right.
We are
All right.
live, guys. It's so funny. We were supposed to be with the dark virus today. He must be sleeping. But if he wakes up and then he's joining us, that's going to be good. In the meantime, let me see if Instagram is going live as well. You know? Oh, yeah. It's going live. Everything is going live right now. Cool. Okay. Okay, guys, before we proceed, a bit of introduction from both of you, and we're just going to have casual conversations on RWA, some of the things Paul is working, and Getter has been there for really a long time in the space. So, yeah, without further ado, please give us a good introduction, and then we take it forward.
Paul, would you like to
He's
start?
my guest, Gator. No, you go ahead. You.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so my real name is Dayon. I go by Gator Green online, so I use that as a name here. I've been in the crypto space since 2017. I started investing after rounding up my studies in environmental and social sciences at the Radboud University here in the Netherlands, and I was really interested in everything that had to do initially with the energy sector and blockchain. So that's what, besides investing, drew my interest. And fast forward a few years, 2021, I came across Blocksmove, a spin-off from Mercedes-Benz Group, mobility blockchain platform, and I invested in that back then as one of the pre-sale investors, and was asked to work there after that because they found, I had common knowledge about vehicle to grid and the energy sector and blockchain. So became a business developer, really entered the blockchain space then, and project manager of different projects that were running at the time. And later on, I co-founded a Collect agency that was 3 years after that, which is a Web3 marketing agency, which I currently run with a Dutch influencer, Gilles, Alt Crypto Gems, and with JJ Boske, a Dutch TV host and influencer as well. So that's my journey in crypto. First started as investor, then worked at Blocksmove at a tech spin-off for Mercedes-Benz Group, and currently, working on my own company, basically in the Web3 and marketing direction. But I have a really strong, interest in everything DePIN, everything RWA, and everything AI. So that's what I write about with my Gator Green account, and that's under the alter ego for which I'm here to present to you my thoughts around DePIN and RWA. And it's a pleasure to be here. York, thank you for inviting me. And I look forward to discussing everything with you guys.
Welcome, welcome. And what I liked is when you invest and the founders and the team shows faith as well that you can help them. This is so great because one of my co-founder is from Netherlands actually. He's staying there,
Hmm, nice.
and so we are bringing a lot of products from Netherlands from the farmers and supplying to some of the retailers, right? Yeah, I mean he also started his journey with us as a investor,
Ah,
you know.
so it's a common story.
So yeah, it's a common story. It's a beautiful story. Why I said so? Because when you see that somebody is adding so much into this ecosystem, then why not include them and give them more view of what's going on inside, right?
Hmm.
So that's the thing about decentralization. Like it is, uh, it's so cool. A caller is saying that I'm also from Netherlands, man. Today I think, yeah, Netherlands wins. Yeah. So yeah, let's hear from Paul.
Thank you, York. Thank you for having me. Hi, everyone. My real name is Paul Yam. I'm from a company called Drone Dash. Drone Dash is actually a company based in Singapore, but the majority of our work is outside of Singapore. So we're doing a lot of work in drone deliveries. We're doing a lot of work in agriculture as well. Yeah, so that's how we got started. So Drone Dash now is operating in Malaysia and also Indonesia. So essentially what we're doing now is that we saw an opportunity in the agriculture space. So if you look at the Western society, agriculture, they are very, very high tech. But if you look at Asia, they are still very labor dependent. And we saw an opportunity there because cost has been going up, and farmers are saying that, hey, we need to go people less. And the only way for us to go people less is for us to start introducing automation, AI, robotics to them, and also, of course, IoT. Yeah, so that's how we got started. So we're doing a lot of work in agriculture, primarily in the palm industry. So palm fruits, you process it, you get palm oil. Yeah, so that's something that we're doing a lot of work in. Yeah, so now what we're doing, we're implementing IoT. So what we're trying to do is bring more technology into agriculture. And one of the key things that we realize is that they don't adopt technology. And the only way to go people less is when you start adopting technology. So we're bringing IoT in. So we're integrating IoT with a back end of autonomous machines. So instead of them going, example, pesticide spraying, right? Instead of them spraying with machine gun everywhere, now we're giving them data. We're telling them that, hey guys, in your entire plot, only this place has a problem and you only need to fix this place. So the rest of the places you don't need to. So at the end of the day, I always say this, customers only pay you for two reasons, and two reasons only. One, you make more money for them. Two, you save them a lot of money. So that's exactly what we're trying to do. So we're going in and we're saying that, hey guys, our aim is to save at least 50% of the running costs for our clients by bringing technology in. And so looking to open up Malaysia, Indonesia to work with more DePIN projects. And I think York and us, we're going to make announcements soon. So I think we're working on something quite amazing. Very soon we'll make our announcement.
Go ahead. Announce it. It's okay.
Okay, right.
Announce it.
So probably you guys will hear from here. So FarmSend and Drone Dash, we're tying up. Like I said, our strength is in creating business values. Okay, so something that we realize with a lot of DePIN projects is that they don't really create a lot of, they don't have the business fundamentals. So that's what we're doing now. So working with many DePIN, and then now we're working with FarmSend as well. FarmSend is different, of course. They understand business fundamentals, and that's why we've come together and we're saying that, hey, we're going to create even more value for the DePIN project. So what we're going to do now is that we're going to launch some IoT devices with FarmSend. And we're going to open it up to the community that FarmSend has. And then what we do is that, so Drone Dash does deployment. So FarmSend will be doing the IoT devices sale, and then we'll be doing deployment. So we already have contracts running. So what this will do is that we'll be generating real revenue. Okay, so whatever devices that you buy, we will deploy. We have clients that are going to pay you. So everybody wins. So we split the revenue and everybody wins. Yeah. So that's what we're going to do. Yeah. Very soon. We're going to make the announcement very soon.
Just imagine, like we are talking about RW and DePIN, right? Now imagine having both RW and DePIN in this. Let me get Rasta inside. So yeah. So Rasta, is your video on?
Yes.
So was your face.
Just a moment. I'm coming. Just a moment.
So this is one of the things which we looked at and in FarmSend when we were speaking to some of our community members. They're backing us a lot, and every time they say, how can we be part of something which is a tangible business, right? Because I think in the era of meme coin, sometime and this tangible business stuff is taken a backseat. And when I spoke to Paul, we both share the same sentiment. Whether it is a Web3 project, whether it is just simply focusing on DePIN, RW, or whatever, the motive has to be that it should run like a business. In fact, when we started, my co-founder Salah, when he started oh yeah, you look good. So when my co-founder started a charity coffee company, right? It was so difficult because everybody thought that this is going to be a charity company, right? So we put conscious effort in FarmSend to treat farmers as partners, and we're not doing any favors to them, right? So the motive has to be that the businesses has to make money, but there is a thin line between making money and being greedy. So we're putting a cap on what farmers can earn, but it's not a charity organization. So that there is proper investor backing, and then most of the money flows to the farmers. So yeah, welcome Rasta. Give us an introduction.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you. Nice to be here on the podcast. Yeah. My official name is Cleveland, Cleveland Brown, but otherwise I'm usually known as Rasta. My background is in computer science and technology. And of course, with things moving in the direction of blockchain technology, DePIN, there were a few projects along the way that even Yag and I were involved in. And then coming to this place now where we find the opportunity to, as Yag was mentioning, not with a focus on making money, but with a focus on providing a solution with real value, and changing lives, and making sure that this technology is not only useful but widely made widely available to those who would really benefit from it most across the world. And so yeah, being able to tackle food security and work with farmers is something that I feel is very dear and close to all of us, because regardless of cultures, nationalities, regional differences, and that we all eat food, and we all kind of receive introductions into other cultures and things also through food. So this is very important and dear to us, and I'm glad to be here to discuss with you all.
Speaking of food, guys, our coffee is reaching Dubai. We are implementing a drip coffee. And yeah, a lot of flavors coming. And as you can see from these, we are saying that from the farmers of Java and Sumatra, we are promoting the region in coffee. And as many of the guys struggle to make coffee, so we are replicating the tea bag. So drip coffee suits them while you're super busy. Yeah, that's going to be there on 30th April in Dubai.
Very
Yeah, cool.
well
So
done.
whoever is coming, please, we'd love to give you some samples. Test it. Let us know. Our farmers will be excited too. So Cleve is working on ground in Bali, and Ubud, and many places, hidden places in Indonesia, and helping the farmers as much as he can. Cleve, tell us something about your visit to vanilla plantation.
Wow. uh well, for me, one, it was very much educational, because although we all we would have come across vanilla in maybe an ice cream or a chocolate bar, but very rarely do we know where it actually comes from. And
Why vanilla is represented as white? It's supposed to be black.
yes, the bean itself, but then also, just to go along with that, the orchids that produce the vanilla are usually white or yellow, so but the actual
Maybe that.
yeah, but the actual bean itself, as you said, Yog, is dark brown, blackish bean that's very powerful, so we all know, or possibly we don't, but how scarce vanilla is, across the world. Oftentimes we're getting extracts and essences, and instead of receiving real vanilla. And so yeah, to be on a vanilla plantation has this natural feeling of abundance, because there's I think 25,000 uh, 25,000 kg worth of vanilla that this particular plantation is able to produce annually. The owner himself, who has partnered with us, is very knowledgeable, obviously, about the vanilla, and his staff help him to produce various vanilla products as well. a vanilla syrup that also contains a high concentration of vanilla. He shared with me a vanilla cocktail with passion fruit and these kinds of things as well. And literally, he's, you know, walking me through these acres of plantation, you know, barefooted, you know, I mean, showing me not only the vanilla, but various other spices and medicinal plants. And so, you know, it speaks a lot to the beauty of Bali and what's available to us in the region and what we can help to expose the rest of the world to as well.
So Paul was mentioning, like, you know, how a lot of farmers without proper access to technology often like misusing, if I lack of any other alternative words, misusing a lot of pesticides, and you know, um, so one of the thing what Paul has worked on is to give the data to farmers that what are their NPK content of the soil. That is most of the time determines what you can do to the plantation, right? So, Paul, would you just take us through that journey that when some of our farmers are also watching and see how that technology helps. So a lot of time people think DePIN is like, you know, you just put a sensor, drive and earn and you make money, but there are so much of aspects of DePIN. So let's explore that agriculture aspect.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so my belief of DePIN is that it has to be deployed in places whereby people will actually use it. And usually these places are very remote. So that's how FarmSend and us got together and say, hey, you know, it's no point putting something in your home, right? But you need to put it somewhere where the farmers will use it, you know, so and it's going to be very remote, and a lot of infrastructure got to be built. And DePIN is really absolutely perfect for that. Okay, so coming back to the farmers, particularly in Asia, right? So I shared earlier that the farmers, they are very labor dependent, very, very labor dependent. So back then, 10 years ago, labor was cheap, but labor cost has been creeping up, and everyone says, oh, we got to start looking at our costs and we start managing our costs because profitability is dropping, right? And some farmers telling me that costs have gone up 10 to 12% because of labor cost increase. So it was a perfect timing for us. And when we went there, we say, hey guys, you know, you got to start using technology. And one of the key technology is actually soil health. Okay, so the soil will determine the amount of yield that you can have. Okay, so you really need to be looking at data. So today, farmers don't have data at all for a very simple reason, because getting them to invest millions of dollars, okay, on sensors and put it into the ground on something that they have never tried, they will probably say, no, forget it, guys. You know, I'm not going to put millions of dollars into this. But we know, you know, because
Just to interrupt what Paul is saying, it's not only access to technology, it requires our investment, it requires resources that need to manage these. And it's just like farmer says, like, you know, is it worth taking that jump, right? Because they are not sure about the result. Yes, sorry, Paul, go ahead.
absolutely. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So they don't know. They're not technologists, okay? So they're farmers. So they won't know whether this is going to work or not. So they're reluctant to spend the data. But because for us, we do a lot of research. We work with agronomists. So we know for a fact that you got to start looking at data of soil, data of weather, you know, moisture, pH content, NPK. So all these things are extremely important. So instead of farmers spreading fertilizers everywhere, okay, it's expensive. Fertilizers are very, very expensive. So if you look at a farm, right, anything, it could be anything 20% or more is actually spent on fertilizers, you know, then the rest of the labor costs and the rest of the pesticide, those add up as well. So what we're trying to tell the farmers now, so now we give you the data, exactly what York says. Putting the technology in is one thing, but someone's got to analyze the data, got to read the data, form a data model, and tell the farmers, hey guys, you only need to fertilize here and you need to spray here, and the rest of the places you don't need to touch. So that's exactly what we are trying to do. So we are giving farmers the data. We're giving farmer the the weapons, the ammunition to actually cut costs and save money. And I personally feel DePIN is really absolutely the best technology to do this. Okay, so
I
the
couldn't
cost is
agree
spread
more.
out.
One of the important thing, remember that in agriculture, you require to nurture the soil, and then you got to keep an eye on the micro weather besides the macro weather, right? The
Exactly.
micro weather and the soil determines the health of your crops, right? Especially in Southeast Asia and in Africa, you find that most of the farmings are open farming, right? So and Gator sitting in there would be thinking like, what the hell are you talking about, right?
I'm
Right?
expecting
We haven't seen this, right? So, but in Southeast Asia and Africa, you find these open fields and that even don't have barricades. It's just open, wide open fields.
Yeah.
And you need to look after the soil, you need to look after the micro weather. And so that is perfect, as Paul said, for DePINs, right? So how it is going to work? So we tokenize the DePIN. Now, say Getter sitting in Netherlands or a Clip sitting in Bali will invest in the sensors that are tokenized. And the sensors will be managed by Paul, deployed in the right fields where the farmers are sharing some of their earning on a periodic basis. So it is not too heavy upfront cost for them, right? And that data comes into that directly helps them, but the things doesn't stop there. Then FarmSense takes those data as well and then creates a traceability system, right? The traceability system assures the consumer that the food was grown here and it was, and the soil condition, micro weather condition is that, right? That doesn't end there as well, right? That data goes to Nuclei, which is based in Netherlands. Again, today I think Netherlands is winning. So, and that data goes to Nuclei, and artificial intelligence takes over that data, right? Creates patterns, hopefully in future, that can actually predict what is going to be your yield. Are you doing something wrong, and can you fix it well before, because the other guy had done something wrong, you know? So in that way, we are empowering this farmer community, and it's all thanks to people who believe in DePIN, because they invested, and hence the farmer got the access. So
can I chime in
right,
there for a second?
Gator,
Thank you
please.
for explaining that first
Yeah.
of all, and for your guys' insights. I believe that what you're saying with the data is actually the first step, right? So to bridge this a little bit from DePIN to RWA, I mean, DePIN devices in itself are RWA as well. They're real world assets. You know, a device is an asset as well. But my general feeling that I have when I talk about RWA investing in blockchain, right, is usually stuff that I cannot afford to invest in as a whole. So you have sort of like fractionalized ownership, which is of course also different than RWA in itself specifically. But usually I think of fractionalized ownership when I think of real world assets, right? And real world asset tokenization, because it's something that I want to invest in, but don't have the money to do in full. So I own a piece of it and I invest together in a real world asset. And I think when you look at these DePIN devices currently that can really generate the data that can help farmers forward, I think the next step is, after you have that data, you know what steps you can take technologically to advance the farm, right? And these usually require investments, further investments, I would say, than the sensors and the data itself, right? And these investments could then be financed in a real world manner, right? With ownership of the machinery,
Yeah,
etc.
absolutely. Yeah.
I think
Absolutely. You actually nailed it, Gator Green. The thing is, like, it. What I feel is that projects like Drone Dash, FarmSense may not look sexy like of any other one, right? But these are the ones that is creating impact on ground. And so instead of having those investment in meme, I'm not against any meme tokens. If some of the chunk goes to also the real value projects, that would actually spur growth. And look, what we are handling is food security end of the day, and we still need food in the metaverse, right? Rasta, you wanted to say something.
I was going to say that this also lets us know that we don't know best. It allows us to use the senses and allow nature to inform us and tell us what is, the next best step forward. And I think that this is something that we have to consider across the globe. For instance, no need for pesticides. When I was on the farm, Rex, he showed me that there's a certain type of mantis, and this mantis produces a particular kind of colony, let's say. And once you have the colony of this mantis within a 500-meter radius, you will not have any mosquitoes, for instance. You understand? And so instead of us having to spray anything, we can allow ourselves to be guided in a more holistic way toward making better decisions.
For sure.
Nicely said.
Actually, I think I like to add on a little bit as well. Actually, with data, you can open up a whole new world of financing as well, right? So you can now tell your investors and say, hey, my land is extremely fertile. Today, they don't know, my land is extremely fertile. I've got all the data to back it up to say that, and with the right algorithm, you can even do prediction of yield, because of the soil is directly correlated to yield. So these are absolutely all the things that can, open up a whole new world of financing. So many things. Data is so important. But if you look at the agriculture industry, particularly in Asia, those guys are not really tapping onto data. So, but it's okay. That gives us an opportunity here, isn't it, York?
No, yeah, definitely. This is a clear opportunity, and I'm seeing that moving forward. If we just look at like in a couple of years, I'm expecting that there will be farmer communities being formed. We are putting some effort in that direction, and ensure that if the growers are not happy, then forget about the food security. We can only struggle from there, right? So at the moment, if you look at the supply chain, which we infamously said that it's broken, right? Because if the source we are not compensating enough, then what are the incentive for producing that large quantity of food, right? So what we have done over the years is we have over commercialized the food system, and we are reaping the bad result of that. That's why we are spraying a lot of pesticides, because how do we sustain otherwise? How do we give food? So we're squeezing out everything from the soil, and that is why if we compensate enough with the existing workforce of the farmers, and they invest those in their small fields and collectively produce enough, and we optimize the supply chain that these produces are reaching right people, and we are growing great food, then we are definitely sorting out most of the food security issues, right? So I think that's needed. In after that only we can talk about all other things of blockchain and a meme and other things, because we need some food and drinks first. Right? But my question to get again little beyond the agriculture space and moving to more. So RWA last couple of years have caught the imagination of people that there is definitely a possibility that it is going to grow. How do you see it? Like where the growth starts? Are we going to be limited to those tokenizing bonds, or are we going to move beyond? And if we are, then what are those sectors you see is going to be prominent?
Yeah, good question. I think I'm a little bit biased here with my background and my interest because I know the most about the energy sector, and you usually try to take examples from the energy sector. If that is your background, or if you have a background in agriculture, you have the most examples in that direction, probably, right? If you look at RWA and where that is going, I mean, I think it got into it got into a faster phase of adoption as soon as BlackRock started mentioning it. But even before that, it was already there were so many initiatives tokenizing real world assets, luxury art, supercars, real estate, you name it. These things are the things that I had in mind initially with RWAs when I learned about it, and later on you come across the term DePIN, which was coined somewhere in 2022. I think I heard of it for the first time, but it really started to get traction after Peak went live for as a layer one, and IOTEX was starting to focus on DePIN, which was in 2020. Well, 2024 it really started to gain traction, I believe, the term, but before that, not so much. Anyway, back to real world assets. So what I think, what we're seeing is that currently we're seeing exploration of RWA by more traditional sectors with the help of Ondo Finance, with the help of Mantra, which, well, token-wise had a bit of a issue recently. I won't go into too much details there, but I think nobody missed what happened if you're into crypto or blockchain in itself. But anyway, what I mean to say is that there you see that there's now exploration of these more traditional assets being tokenized. But I think what the real power of real world assets is, and real world asset tokenization, that is, financing smaller initiatives, financing machinery for the agriculture sector, financing windmills maybe, and hosting, and placing windmills somewhere in not in a neighborhood, but the neighborhood gets the energy from those windmills, and they purchase them together. And already these kind of initiatives exist in the Netherlands where blockchain is not used. But you buy a stake in a windmill and it's on paper, but if you ever want to sell that again, or if you ever want to get rid of that, it's difficult. And blockchain enables that by creating an NFT that shows digital ownership, where you can sell that share in that windmill again, maybe even make a profit off of it. And I believe that, that side, the real world asset tokenization, where you tokenize machinery, where you tokenize higher value assets within factories, companies, that is where we will see a lot more growth, because currently we're still really thinking in organizations, businesses, manufacturing companies, where you invest in the company in itself. But I think we will see more and more investments into the assets that are required in the companies, instead of specifically investment in a company. And that's where I believe real world asset tokenization is going. But it also has a long way to go, because if you look at what real world asset tokenization is, it's usually not tokenizing or fractionalizing the actual asset. It's tokenizing a part of the revenue share, and you simply invest in it and in the company or in the token, and you get a revenue share back. But there's no real ownership tied to what you actually purchase. So you're not really owning that asset partially, right? And I think that has to do with the legal hurdles that we still have to overcome currently. So if you look at real world asset tokenization, I think that is a big hurdle. And the second hurdle is you're in a very it's a very split world. The current traditional investment world and the crypto world. And in the crypto world, the yield expectations are much different than those in the traditional world, and also the time horizon is much different. So I understand that tokenizing bonds and stuff and is now being explored more and more in the traditional world, because that is the safer. They get a safer feeling from that kind of real world asset tokenization, right? Than when you would say, I invest in this machinery of this startup, and that bridge still needs to be made, because the risk appetite of people in the crypto sector is much different than people in the traditional business sector and investment sector. And I'm talking a lot now, so I'm just going to round this answer.
No. Go ahead. This is amazing. What is also important is that the crypto itself can give you the entire portfolio after tokenization, right? So imagine Clive sitting in Bali thinks that I need to go 40% bond, don't want to take too much risk. right? And I go with slight top 100 cap, thinking that there is nothing going to wrong happen with Ethereum, Solana kind of assets, right? And
Yeah.
then go with more riskier 10% or 15% assets, right? So he doesn't really need to jump into any of the traditional investing, and that's what RWA can do, right?
Yes,
So
absolutely.
his portfolio, arrangement can be done the way he wants based on his risk appetite, but still he is within the Web3 ecosystem, right?
Mhm.
So I think Ondo has done a lot of work, and I was speaking to Pius also from Polytrade. They've been constantly shipping code, and they are also doing a lot of tokenization. They also did complete a standard ERC 6960, and they
Yeah.
helped a lot in that, which is a dual layer token that fixes the asset ownership. So those are going to be very popular. But I liked what Gator had said about um, the people, the appetite of people investing in the company versus investing in asset, right?
Mhm.
Because investing in company requires a lot of due diligence, a lot of stuff for a normal person to carry out that investigation. So traditionally, we depended on stock market, and we hoped that the larger community does the checks and balances, and there is an authority also does that checks and balances, right?
Mhm.
But investing in asset is comparatively lesser riskier, right? If it is done right, and it decouples the company's performance and focuses on the assets performance, right? It is like a shipping company versus a ship, right? If I just put it this way. So
I like
yeah,
that
Bob,
example actually. Very easy to grasp because
Yeah.
people understand the benefit of having a boat, of having a ship, and being able
right?
to transport, but it's
Yeah.
different than the company itself. Yeah, I like that example.
Right. And so Paul
Yeah.
and Rasta, if you want to add something, please.
I was just going to say quickly, it's a bit of a different perspective,
Hmm.
but we we use the term real world assets. Okay, so if we just take the real and separate it from the world assets, the world has assets. We now, through the technology, have the opportunity to redefine what's real. Yeah. So more recently, when I say real, meaning what's of value, what's of real value to us, right?
Hmm.
So I remember, or just recently, because of what's happening between the U.S. and the tariffs and trade war and these kinds of things, a lot of things are being exposed in terms of where the huge designer brands are able to produce their goods and how much it actually costs in order to make these goods. And okay, now in contrast, I remember during COVID, and Yog and I were having a conversation, and in the conversation, you have something very popular in the world now is turmeric and the use of turmeric and the benefits of turmeric. Okay, here in Indonesia, there is an herb called tameluak. Okay, tameluak grows exactly the same way that turmeric is. If I hold them in front of you, you wouldn't know the difference. But when you taste it, the tameluak is like a much more pungent and a much more intense form of the turmeric itself. So it's like turmeric's grandfather, right? So in the time of COVID and in the conversation, we were speaking about how something like this in that particular time would be of such value to people, right? And now with the technology, we get to define and say, well, this is what this should cost, and this is what, this is who it can help, and this is what makes it of such value to each of us. You understand? So I think in that sense, and as far as the question where we see IWA heading, I think that, as I said, it gives us the opportunity to really redefine what's of value to us.
Nicely put.
Yeah.
Are you saying that the
Yeah.
political parties of the future will be tokenized?
Definitely. this is something to look into, because as we said, we'll be redefining what's of value, right? So,
Paul,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah, well, I think there is another perspective to this as well, right? So if you think about it, every company at the end of the day is about managing cash flow, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Managing cash flow is king, cash is king, right? So rather than investing into the company, now you're investing into an asset that supports the company's business. So you think about it, the entire cash flow will be different, you know. So now the business owners don't have to worry so much about scaling up, because the community will be here to fund the acquisition of assets,
Absolutely.
right? And only after you purchase the asset can you pursue your business and your profitability. But now you have a community coming in. They own a portion of the asset, and whatever revenue that's generated, you know, is shared back with the asset owner. So this is different from financing and borrowing. Okay, so because this is really directly related to the asset generating income. So now the business owner now becomes you know, they can focus really on creating value rather than worry about, you know, cash flow and all that. I think I really do think that a lot of machineries, particularly in industries that support and sustain life, you know, that these are critical industries. Agriculture is one of it, you know.
Telecom
Right down to
industries, manufacturing and
telecom,
stuff. Yeah.
manufacturing, exactly. You know, sustain and support life. These are the industries that I really see machineries that will be getting tokenized more and more eventually. Yeah. So this is definitely something that's going to happen. It's not going to turn back. No one's going to say, hey, guys, we're not going to do tokenization RWA anymore. It's just going to get more and more abundant, you know. Yeah, I think something I think.
What Paul said, this actually, this is what somewhat upsetting is what's happening in the US, because US was forefront in the idea of DePIN before DePIN was coined, right? If you just look at those KFCs and Starbucks and all are DePINs actually.
I was also thinking. Sorry, this was something that just popped
please.
up. Paul triggered it in my head. I was thinking that, you know, this is exactly where companies get asset light, right? It's the success of Uber, for example, and
Yeah, exactly.
companies.
The Uber.
Yeah,
But the
absolutely
vehicles are
right.
owned by someone else, you know, and you can do it in the opposite direction here, where where there's companies in between that own the assets. So if the company that they sell or give the assets to, that uses the assets, is not necessarily the owner of the assets, but he can do his or her business without having to own the assets. It's a benefit for the person or the company that has to use the assets for production, manufacturing, for agriculture, whatever. And it's a benefit to the company that owns the assets, because if the company that uses them goes broke, the company that sort of rents them out can rent them out to another person or company, right? And with fractionalized ownership, you will get more of these kind of business models, I believe, that are in between that. You know, friends of mine in India, and then I get a little bit to the farming sector again, but friends of mine in India, they one of them has found out a new way to use a pyrolyzer to create biochar. And I don't know if he patented the technology, but it's a way that the pyrolyzer lasts longer. And the pyrolyzer is an expensive tool, and he's basically discovered a way to do that in a sort of vacuum to create that biochar at a certain temperature, and then, you know, it gets distributed over the land of farmers, and it can take up CO2. The biochar absorbs that into the soil, and then you can get carbon credits and sell these, and there's a business model there. But the idea
Beautiful.
is that this new technology, like, he can run it with his own pyrolyzer. But I said, why would you not go asset light? Why not say, hey, we run our own pyrolyzer, we try to finance that with a real world asset financing mechanism, and then you rent out the other pyrolyzers to other companies. So you get initiatives all over the world, and you say, hey, I have this technology, I can implement it in the pyrolyzer. I set out the pyrolyzer to other people, NGOs, companies, whatever, individuals that want to use these pyrolyzers, and I get them financed with real world asset tokenization. And that way, you know, you can also create really new business models, I believe, where you're not just dependent on your own success, but you're betting on other people's success as a company as well, and spreading basically your risk. And I think these kind of models really will be innovative and show in the world more and more now.
I think
Yeah,
what's most important, what you highlighted, Gator Green, is new business models. And
Mhm.
I'll just simplify for our farmers who are watching, and simplify in based of the examples of Uber you highlighted. Now, Uber at the moment has got uh, two layers in their business, right? Besides the customer.
Mhm.
So Uber is in the center, customer is putting a request, and there is a driver who owns the vehicle, right? And in some places, there are company that owns the vehicle and they have appointed drivers, right? In
yeah,
RWS scenario, what is going to happen is that Gator Green sitting in Netherlands is saying, I will fund a car, or Gator Green, Paul, Rasta, and I together we will own four fractions and fund a car.
Mhm.
So the driver is just walking in, takes the asset, drives around, earns money. It's split between these parties. Uber makes money, driver makes money, Rasta, of course, makes money. Everybody has a share in the business without all of us looking at what is going on with Uber. Whether they paid their staff and other, we have nothing to do with. We just created a small box of that asset only and not bothered about anything else, right?
yeah,
So I think this is why I liked when you mentioned that business models. I think this is just the start, right? There are a
yeah,
lot of business models going to come, whether it is food delivery, and then the food delivery bikes or cars will be tokenized, and then the entire business is going to be tokenized. One of our partner, Bistro, is already doing it,
Mhm.
and hopefully one day our farmers will supply food directly to these restaurants, right? So these are new business models, and it's possible only with two bigger components, which today we identify them as DePIN, today we identify them as real world asset. These two part of the blockchain component are helping them. Why? Because they both have two things in common. One is transparency, second is community owned,
Yes.
right? And yeah, so Rasta, you're saying something.
Yes, you can see this happening now, where instead of it's a difference in, almost a different generational approach, where instead of us working for things, now we want things to work for us. We want services, we want, as you mentioned, partial ownership and these sorts of things, which is leading towards different business models, uh, according to where we are in the conversation. So some years ago, another conversation that I can remember, we were speaking about Mercedes, right? And this was maybe, I would say, 6 to 8 years ago, where Mercedes shifted their focus from production to somewhat of a data mining kind of model, meaning to say that they saw the direction that things were headed, and they saw that the value would actually be in the amount of data that they're able to collect through various services, rather than just in the production of their vehicles. Because this generation now, they don't necessarily need to own a Mercedes. Some will want to own, of course, but instead of owning it, they want it as a service, that when they're ready for a Mercedes, they can, use an app, or use a company or something that's available in order to bring it to them, use it, and then let it go again. So this tokenization allows partial ownership, fractional ownership, and fractional participation in many different aspects of our daily lives, let's say. So,
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, also tokenization, I also expect that the common things which we consider so far as standard, right? I booked a ticket, and I was supposed to fly to China to meet Paul, but I couldn't. Now I consider this okay if the airline allows me to change, or if I have to pay a fine or whatever it is. That has become the business standard today. But tomorrow's business will tokenize that ticket, and then so if I'm unable to travel, that goes to the marketplace and someone else buys it, right? So tokenization has got so much of possibilities, is that you literally got to look at all the companies, the way they do business. That's why I like to what Gatorgan said, that these are the business methods that is existing, and it's gonna change. It's changed for really good. Why? Because we have already created that thought in the mind of the consumer. Hey, why it is not tokenized? Why am I going to pay a fine? Okay, I couldn't make it, but why am I going to pay a fine? Instead of me, can I send my friend? You know, and right? Yeah. Yes. Just a note to the token 2049 guys. Please tokenize it. Tokenize all the tickets, so I don't have to answer those spam calls.
I think Camino Network is
Right.
actually doing that. I've been working with them at Blocksmove. So also a lot of the company examples you just mentioned, where you said, one of the ideas that I had when I was working specifically at Blocksmove, the spin-off from Mercedes-Benz Group, also a bridge to Rasta, is comment about Mercedes, right? I was working at Blocksmove for 3 years, more or less, and now still doing some work for them. And what we had in mind is to in countries in Africa, and we were specifically targeting Nigeria. We had people there, and I was helping a team set up a decentralized ride-hailing solution there. But the idea for the next step was, and still is actually, to tokenize vehicles and to give these vehicles to drivers, because a vehicle in, for example, Nigeria costs more or equally as much there as a house. And that is because a lot of the vehicles, not all, but a lot of vehicles in Nigeria are being imported, and they cost a lot of money. And while housing materials usually, can get sourced from Nigeria itself, and that's why some people said to me that I worked with, we own multiple houses, but we can't afford a car. We only own one car. And as a driver, you need a fancier car than a standard car, because people expect some sort of neatness, luxury, or whatever when they ride, when they do ride hailing, right? When they try to get a cab. And the financing of these vehicles, that's one other part which you said, Jörg, that I think will be disrupted by it. And you already see it a little bit with Uber's investment of, I think it was $750 million that they invested in Move. And Move is a company, a normal company, financing the vehicles for drivers all around the world, and specifically in African countries. But they're one company. They don't, if you want to really scale this quickly, you need to source capital from all over the world. You need to decentralize this and say, hey, you can invest in that taxi. And the benefit of that is that is tying into what you said, Rasta, that it's possible to use that vehicle optimally. You can never use a vehicle 24/7 every day, because there's repairments, maintenance, etc., that needs to be done, and switching of driver. But if a driver works a shift of 8 hours, another driver can take that vehicle afterwards. And if that vehicle is owned by a driver, an individual driver, and he doesn't work for a company, then that vehicle is standing idle like 16 hours of the day.
Yes.
You're not optimally using the vehicle. And this kind of optimization, of the vehicle can take place when the vehicle is, unlocked via an app, like you can do when you do ride hailing in the biggest cities here in Europe. I don't know, a lot of countries probably have it already, where you can simply go to a place, and there's cars throughout the city. You unlock it, you pay for it, and then the lock jumps open, and you can use that car. And you when you lock it again, the payment ends. But that kind of model you can have for drivers as well. Drivers can more optimally use their vehicles, and they don't need to work at a taxi company driving for that company. They can do it individually in a truly decentralized manner, much like Uber actually intended to, without even having to own the vehicle, without having to carry that risk. And there's difficulties there. I mean, it's not as good as this. There's things and ownership, but the business possibility is definitely there and is getting explored right now.
A big shout out to Darcy. She's tokenizing movies. Okay, So, my God, although like she herself is an actress in Hollywood, so she comes with a lot of experience. But Darcy, if you are listening to us, yesterday I had a demo on Income Island. Oh yeah, it is beautiful. It is beautiful metaverse. Yeah, we are looking forward. Yeah, it is amazing. I was just looking at how fast it renders, how smooth it is, and it's real life creative. The way the water is, whenever metaverse we talk about, we look at how they replicate water, and the way the reflections on water and stuff is amazing. I'm just giving a lot of a hint to people, open hint to go and check out Income Island, and it's there in Microsoft Store, as well as in, if you are having Apple, you can just install it from the web browser. So take a look at, and we're definitely looking forward to do a lot of educational material in Income Island. We're exploring how we can help farmers, how we can show um, how to maintain the sensors, Paul, to the farmers, right? So, and including their data itself. So this is going to be good. Take a look at Darcy's account, and also Star Dogs and Income Island. So a lot of RWA there, and this is what is happening in RWA space.
In,
Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
Rasta, sorry, you were saying
just
something.
quickly off of Gator's comment, this is the way that all of this will greatly improve quality of life for everyone, right? Because instead of something using you, you now have the opportunity to use it. instead of instead of slaving and working for, just to continue with the same analogy, to own a vehicle or to own a house, now you can, have these things available as a service, and we can put these things to work instead of having people breaking their backs in order to have these things.
Yeah. Yeah. But
That,
maybe
that that's
I'll
what
head on
Paul
to,
sold.
yeah.
That's what Paul sold to those guys, is that have a shade, bring your coffee, let the drone go, monitor everything. Okay, look at your screen, data is perfect. Okay,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
how agriculture is done. Paul,
Yeah.
yeah, if you want to
Yeah.
extend that.
Yeah, I was going to add something as well. Since we're talking about RWA, investing in assets, machinery, and all that. So I really truly believe that at some point in time in the future, right, humans will just be the man in the loop. We'll be investing in robots. For example, Mercedes. The robots that build the Mercedes could be invested by me. So I have one robot getting paid every month, and it's building cars in Mercedes, another one in Toyota, for oil matters. So these are guys that are machines that are really generating a passive income for me. And my job is to make sure that I get deals for them, and I deploy my robots, I invest in them. So it's gonna happen, it's really gonna happen. And like Gator says, going down to the machinery, the asset itself, opens up a whole new perspective, a whole new world, for people to invest in, So you will probably be just sitting at home next time, or in Bali, for example, right? And your machineries are working for you, creating a revenue for you,
Yeah,
and making
that's
money.
that's the best thing. And not only for me, what I was thinking is, like, I would just tell the farmers, hey, oh, I must say this. So one of the Jamaican farmer once said, "This is how chocolate tastes. So this is what you made from the beans we were giving, right?" And that just stuck to me, saying farmers just don't consume their own produce, and by bringing technology, making them lighter,
They
uh,
can
you
enjoy.
know, giving them, yeah, they can enjoy their own produce, and as well as we give priority to something qualitative, right?
Yeah.
Guys, our discussion is so amazing that we're just continuing, and a big shout out to all the people. Oh, there are 2,800 people who are watching us.
Wow.
Thank you so much. you continuously encourage us, and you know, guys, we bring these experts. They are not only talking about Web3, but they are actually investing their time, their money. There's so much of effort going on. So follow them, and see what they are doing. Make sure that they are promoted. We are coming up with some good um, good easy packages for you to step in and buy with Drone Dash and FarmSend. Shout out to 3,100 people. So yeah, that's good, guys. Thank you for your encouragement and love, um, and we should have some final thoughts with regard to RWA and deep in the future. You have already spoken. Um, please, who wants to take the mic?
No,
Rasta,
no,
go ahead.
please. I leave it open. I leave-
Get a green. Okay, go ahead.
Some final thoughts, right? So I believe there's a lot of new business opportunities coming, and I personally entered the crypto space and specifically the DePIN and RWA space with my background, energy consultancy and environmental consultancy, which I did, and that's what interests me. And I think what if you want to do something good, you need to look at things that interest you. You can try to be an investor and invest in sectors that you don't know much about or you're not interested in, but you will fail if you don't have interest in it in the long run. You can force that for some time, but you cannot do it for the long run. So and there is plenty of sectors. I think for everyone's interest, there is something there out there that is interesting to them, which they can invest in. I mean, we talked about some business examples here, but pretty much every business can be disrupted by RWA and DePIN, and pretty much every sector is being explored currently. So if you are watching this and if you want to invest in DePIN projects, if you want to participate, because that is what DePIN is truly about, in my opinion, it's crowdsourcing, it's participating in growing a network. And if you want to do that, if you want to do participation, if you want to be a part of a community, if you want to invest, if you want to get returns like incentives in some form of a token or whatever, then look at something that interests you, look at a sector that interests you, and go for that. Go for the things that interest you, and not specifically just because there's a hype around a certain trend. I think most of you here are interested in farming agriculture, and if that is something that interests you, then there is where you should find your edge within RWA and within DePIN. And like I said, for everyone's interest, I think there is something out there. So there's plenty of platforms where you can explore that. The DePIN Hub by Hotspotty, DePIN Scan by IoTex, Wulos Burrito, bit of a funny name for a DePIN platform, but great insight, returns of investment, and really like what the guy, Michael is his real name, built. So, if you look at these platforms, they can give you a good insight on where to start. And I just want to give that message to people before ending this from my side, because I feel like, there's plenty of things out there, really exciting stuff, actually. And it would be really nice if you get involved, but do it with something that interests you. That's what I really want to urge people to do.
Beautiful. I want to give a big shout out to Scott. Scott testified in front of the Congress in Montana, and the law passed in favor of DePIN and not to consider them as securities. So big shout out, and all the examples he was giving through his testament is about FarmSend, right? So big shout out. This is being observed by the regulators, and people are slowly realizing that the importance of these. And it's not about only agriculture. There are so many things surrounding it. And we were talking in Bali, like the farmer, when we are creating a farmer ecosystem, what we need maybe ISPs, telecom, and then Wi-Fi, maybe payment, micropayment. We require storage, we require local transportation, we require packaging, we require data, we require sensors, we require pesticides. Oh my god, like the farming ecosystem itself is going to consume almost all the things we're talking about, and I'm not
Yep.
missing out to Weather XM and SkyX and all kind of weather data, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, Paul, please.
Yeah. Okay. I think for people that want to start looking at investing in DePIN and RWA, I think one of the things that I've always, I think I've continuously mentioned in this podcast, look for projects that have real fundamentals. They're solving real world problems, and they're getting paid. Most importantly, they're getting paid to solve problems. It's not just a hype, like York says. It's not just a hype. Yeah. Look for projects like that. And I truly believe that as long as you're solving problems, real world problems, getting paid, the business or the project will definitely grow. It has to be, because there are real fundamentals. Yeah, I think that's very, very important. Yeah, do look out for projects like this. Yeah, I think FarmSend and us have got a great project coming up. I think real fundamentals as well. Yeah,
Let's do Malaysia. Here we come.
All right, man. Here we come. Exactly. Yeah.
Rasta.
Yes.
Before we end.
Yes.
Rasta.
Rasta, before you start, there are 3535 people watching, so magical number. Yes, go ahead.
Kind of a combination of what we're all saying in our closing remarks. The technology is no longer just for the tech guys. Now we really need everyone's participation. Everyone's perspective is really valuable in what we are doing. And so, not just as I was saying, from the perspective of the technology itself, but as Gator was mentioning, what really interests you and the ways in which newly available technology can allow us to do, as Yog usually says, not new things, but do things in new ways, right? And so, many aspects of all of our daily lives can be made more efficient and more effective through the usage of blockchain and DePIN technologies. So.
It's amazing how three of you summed it so nicely. So Gator talked about identify the projects, like go to Hotspotty, one of my favorite one, and identify the projects. And then Paul said, look at the fundamentals, right? And then Rasta summed it up very well, saying, just be mindful of things and see how things can be done differently, not necessarily different things you need to do, right? And this is what is going to be the future of RW and DePIN. Thank you guys for giving precise that input to people to keep an eye, to look at fundamentals in these shiny things. And thank you to all who are watching, 5,944 people. Thank you so much. And you guys are so popular, Gator Green and Paul, Rasta, thank you for joining us. Thank you for everybody who gave their comment. Please follow our guests in social media channels. Do write to us if you have any opinions, any comments, we can fix it. Remember, as Rasta said, anyone can participate. So anyone can give the opinion, and we are not just like coming from really top and doing things. This is literal community, so please throw us your opinion. We deliberate, we ask questions when we need, and that's how we grow together. Let's grow. Thank you for having guys.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.